Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to the Clayton and James show. Now, ordinarily on this podcast, I do some sort of stupid intro, but I ain't seen Clayton for a while, so I might as well say, Clayton, congratulations to Arsenal on winning the Premier League 2025-26.
No comment. Hello, James.
Hello, darling. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Nice to be back. Nice to see you.
How many points do you think you win it by?
I'm not getting involved in these conversations. I saw a stat doing the rounds on Twitter where it was something like Arsenal have had what points are we on? It was something like Arsenal have had this amount of points after 9 games in the season, X amount of times. I think it was 7 times, and we only went on to win the league once. It was
Okay.
something like that. So, sure, I think we're probably the best equipped we've ever been to go on and do it. And yeah, like I'm not gonna fucking fool anyone. I do believe we'll go on and do it. But I feel like me talking about hypothetically how many points this that when it's not even November is just me opening up a target for myself. The one thing I will share was I think I shared this with you already, didn't I? The bet I got with a mate.
Go on.
So the bet I've got with
Please
a
gamble
friend.
responsibly.
Yeah, sorry, caveats apply. In the summer, I said to my friends, I think Arsenal will win the league by 7 points, to which my Liverpool supporting friend said, if that happens, he'll give me £2,000. We've got a handshake on it. We've got it in writing. Obviously, he's a friend. Should that happen, I wouldn't accept the 2 grand, but I'm going to get him to buy me dinner.
Why not? I would message him now. I'd just drop him a message and say, all right, mate, do you want to start paying in installments
I
now?
did this weekend. Well, obviously, like he's a Liverpool fan, right? So, yeah, when they lost to Brentford, City lost, and we won, I messaged him. I was like, right, that check, buddy.
Wow. Okay. I totally understand, by the way, Arsenal fans not getting carried away and siding on caution. No one wants to come out and say, "Yeah, we're definitely winning it," and then you don't. Like, obviously, it's not 100%, or is it? But yeah, I don't think anybody thinks that you won't win it from here, mate. Which would be really easy. It would be easier for me to deal with rather than you like winning it like in Aguero fashion on the final day. I've got 7 months to know that you're winning the league, and I.
I picked a hell of a year to leave the country, didn't I?
Yeah,
Fuck
well,
me.
yeah. If you come back and it goes tits up, you know what to do, don't you? Leave
Yeah,
again.
getting banned.
All right. Fortunately, that's the end of the Arsenal chat on this podcast. Clates has had his moment. We're going to turn the screw on him and talk about his shitty FPL team in a second. We're also going to talk on this podcast a little bit about the amount of direct football being played in the Premier League. There's nothing statistical coming up here. We're just going to have a bit of a discussion. Why? Kind of the question that nobody seems to really be able to answer is like, why now? Why is everybody seems to be playing more direct football, more long throws, etc. And have a little talk about fixture movements. It's not blank double chat or anything like that. That's off the back of a bit of a complaint from Manchester United fans, which I think is understandable. And also news today that it looks like we've probably only got one game going to take place on Boxing Day, which I think is game week 18 from memory. We've got a really intriguing story on Euro Focus that Clates is going to take us through today. It's not about a team that any of the English sides are playing in Europe next week. And I've got an on this day for Clayton from 2012. Clates, how's your FPL team doing?
It's been
For the
better.
benefit of the audio listeners, that is the biggest intake of breath I think I've ever seen from you.
Yeah, it's been a shit show. I was looking through my game week history just before we went live. I haven't had a game. I've had 2 game week ranks in within a million this season. So I'm currently sat overall 2.3 million.
It's all
Um,
right.
it.
Yes,
I
fine,
mean,
man.
I usually start slow. I can't recall starting this slow, but game week 4, I was actually 7 mil. But yeah, I've used my triple captain, used my bench boost this week for a whopping 9 points. I wildcarded last week. Yeah, it's just not going very well. I want to say it's because I'm not in the country. I'm not as engaged. Yeah, I think I'm just yeah, swaffle. It's not going very well, mate.
Read, just for the audio listeners, read out your team for us, mate.
Okay, I've got double Arsenal defence in Raya and Gabriel. I've got double Leeds defence in there of Rodon and Goodmanson. Tarkovsky I started this week. Yeah, obviously that went well.
You've actually
Saka,
you've got Michael Keane as well. So you've gone double Arsenal, double Everton, double Leeds.
Well, that the double Everton wasn't planned. That was I had Anderson in, and I was always
Oh, okay.
earmarking the game week 9 bench boost, and I was like, like I did think Everton could maybe do something against you guys, so that's
Oh,
why
so
he's there.
Tottenham cocked up your bench boost a bit.
Yeah,
That
you're
pleases
welcome.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, where was I? Yeah, so that was the back four. Saka, Enzo, Bruno Fernandes is my midfield three. João Pedro, Calvert Lewin, and Captain Haaland. And then my whopping 9-point bench boost was Dubravka's 2, Minter's 5. Obviously, you said about Keane, and Tajani Reinders for his 1-pointer. So that's where I'm at. Bus team, as it stands for next week, has got Dubravka on the bench amongst all the Leeds boys. Yeah, I'm probably looking at the template move of João Pedro to Mateta, assuming there's no other fires.
Brighton fans will thank you for the Leeds victory at the
Didn't that
weekend.
happen? I feel like something happened like that a few years ago where everyone benched. I think it was Brighton Leeds. I want to say the
There
same
was
thing
Leeds
happened.
Brighton was in a double game week in COVID,
Oh, maybe.
and I think a lot of people had Leeds players and they lost 1-0 to Brighton, if I
I think
remember
that's what's
correctly.
in the back of my head. Yeah, but yeah, it's that's my team. Not been great, mate. Not been great, but long season yet. Obviously, wildcarded last week, game week 8. So hoping that I start to see a few green arrows over the next few weeks. But yeah, it's been a bit of a slog.
So what's the plan from here?
I mean, I do like my team. I think this week, if I can take João Pedro, I'll put him in on the wild card because I kind of had a bit of FOMO. I mean, about this aged well. The Sunderland fixture at home, I was like, oh, that looks nice.
I
That
think
went well.
people have got FOMO with João Pedro. They've got FOMO that they own him.
Yeah.
Got
So
fear of missing out on others.
yeah, in terms of a plan, like I don't know, I definitely want to do the Pedro to Mateta move this week, but then beyond that, I don't know. I think I'll probably take it 1 week at a time. To be honest, I do like how the team is actually set up. Obviously, only wildcarded last week. This week, I think I haven't checked what the average was. It didn't feel like it was an amazing week anyway.
High
Yeah.
40s.
So yeah, we'll see how the team gets on this week. I like how it's looking, and then take it from there.
Tarkovsky on the chopping block. I'm kind
Yeah,
of
I
guessing
think.
now you've bought Keane in. You're like, oh, that finds me a bit of money.
Well, exactly. I was thinking for the bench boost, Anderson to Keane was just easy enough. Had the money. I think Keane was 4.5 or something, and then maybe I can.
What you should have
Down.
done is gone for that Mickey Van der Ven.
I know. If only I knew that after the game.
If only you knew that a Tottenham defender was going to rack up 23 points. It's
Is
happened
that what
once.
it was? 23.
It'll never happen again.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I might be looking at. Tarkovsky, move some funds. Can I maybe upgrade Reinders in a couple of weeks by downgrading Tarkovsky to a cheaper defender or something? But yeah, just gonna be flexible with it, see what happens. Reinders, I put in on the wild card a bit stupidly just because of the bench boost. To be honest, I was looking at that. The way I was planning my team would have him for the Bournemouth game. Obviously, I think with him, I kind of want Gonzalez or Rodri to be around, so then he can play a little bit further forward. So not sure what the timelines are on those guys though.
If you were going again this week, Raya, Gabriel, Saka, same three for Arsenal.
I think so. Yeah, I know Saka didn't look on it against Palace, and I think his fitness isn't 100%. But I'm assuming he'll be under the duvet against Brighton midweek. Hopefully, have a full week of rest and then at it for Burnley. Yeah, I think that's the three. I do. I mean, it's funny how things chop and change. I know a few weeks ago when we spoke, I wasn't so keen on Timber or Calafiori, and at the time, I did think Ben White or Miles Lewis-Skelly would come in and take minutes off them. And then you said it on maybe last week's main pod after Fulham. Like, I think there is this feeling and belief that Arsenal just want to steamroll it as much as they can in the league and maybe rotate within the Champions League, arrive in March, April in a strong position and then look to rotate accordingly. So I still
Yeah,
think I'd
you've had
prefer.
a great start in the Champions League as well, right?
We have, yeah.
Yeah.
I still think that's my favoured three, but I wouldn't put people off the Timbers Calafioris now, where a month or so ago I wasn't too keen on it.
Okay. Where'd you sit on Bruno Fernandes?
He's just a. I mean, obviously, when you see Bumo slap two in, it's like, oh yeah, not great. But I think with him, that's me playing the boring long game of like, I don't want to go and chop and change everything and chase upside here and there. Like, I think, did he hit DEFCONs again?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
He
like
was very unlucky not to score at the weekend.
I've not seen any of the highlights.
Yeah,
To
he
be
played
fair.
well. Yeah, he could have had a haul there, mate.
Okay, but yeah, I'm fine with him. He's nowhere near my biggest issue. I think he's just not going to be as exciting as I'd like him to be for the price. But I made my bed when I went there, and kind of knowing what I'm getting. So yeah, I'm fine with
Right.
it.
I like the Minter differential coming up.
Is it a differential? I feel like I'm seeing loads of people talking about him now.
No, it's definitely a differential, mate. Might be
Yeah,
seeing people talk about him. I don't know how many people are there. Good fixtures coming up. Leeds, Brentford at
yeah,
home, two of the next three.
yeah. I liked him, and yeah, 6 mil. So just yeah, fit the structure quite nicely. Again, on a bench boost, I mean, I know Man United did well against Brighton, but going into the game, I thought Brighton would be more threatening than they were. So you could say I was a bit lucky to get that 5 points, to be fair. But that with the upcoming fixtures, yeah, I think he's a nice little pick.
Okay. Good luck. Haaland captain this week.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going Saka at Burnley then, no?
Nah, nah.
Okay.
Robot man at home.
Fine. Let's talk direct football. There is a lot of more direct play, let's say, happening in the Premier League. Now, not all of this is long. I think that can be confused. Direct play quickly into channels and things like that, into front men quickly. Doesn't necessarily mean just thumping it up, although it certainly worked really well for Manchester United at Anfield last week. We were also seeing goals from set plays become a regular occurrence for several teams. Arsenal are not just set piece FC. We're set piece FC light here at Tottenham Hotspur as well. And lots of long throws. The question that I can't answer is why now? Why are so many teams taking this on now? Someone joked the other week. I think it was one of our patrons on a Q&A last week. Said, like, did they all get together in the summer, all the managers, and have a meeting and say, like, it's going to be now? Like, it does almost feel a little bit like that. Everyone's went, yeah, are you going to long throw this year? Yeah, I think I'm going to do long throws as well.
Yeah, I don't know the answer either because you obviously told me that's something you wanted to talk about. So I was on a walk this morning and, well, yesterday morning, as this is when that will go out. And I was trying to think about it. And I was like, I couldn't tell you. The only thing that's come to my mind now, like just while we're on here, is this is from an Arsenal lens. I saw us go through this evolution where, like, 22, 23, we were blowing teams away and like we had just had a lot of space. And I think teams clocked onto that and they were defending really, really smartly against us in like, I think, yeah, like mid blocks, low blocks, and just really packing out the central areas, forcing us wide. And I don't know, combining that with like, I started to see Arsenal go direct and go long. And it's like, okay, why are we doing that? It's because I think teams are so structured in how they defend against us. That's a way of going direct to maybe disrupt, cause chaos and stuff. And then now I'm trying to extrapolate it. Like, this is a conversation you and I had years ago. I think like the first year I started podding with you, like 2 years ago or something, where I used to nerd out on like positional play and like principles like that, where it's like a chess angle to football where you have certain players occupying certain spaces, lanes, and stuff to maximize the space and create overloads. And like, I remember when I used to read about that in school in like, no, uni, like 2015, 2016. Like, that was a big new thing. Like, it was only hipsters would be reading and talking about that. And I think the level of coaching in the Premier League now is just unbelievable. I think like the influx and influence from like foreign ideologies to come in, and I just think there is no, like, one of the podcasts I listen to, an Arsenal one, Clive, he from the Arsenal Vision, he says there's no secrets at the top level anymore, and I think that's what it is when teams are so informed and the data analysis is probably the sharpest it's ever been. It's like, where are your marginal gains? And I think does that come from chaos? It's like you can't perfectly structure and choreograph things anymore. So like, is chaos an angle? I'm not saying that's definitive. That's just a hypothesis that popped into my head.
No, I like what you say about the level of coaching at the top level in the Premier League is obviously really high now. I certainly felt that. There's probably some fans of some Premier League clubs at the moment don't feel quite the same way. But I very much agree with you. I think the standard of managers in the Premier League is very high at the moment. It still doesn't explain everything away though. So if we use data as an example that you'd mentioned, and we're saying that perhaps now teams are clocking that there's a margin to be gained on going more direct more often. Hasn't the data screamed at us for the last decade or so that keeping the ball is almost like the best way to defend? Like keep
But
it.
yeah, and I don't know where my brain goes to that is like the physicality of the league now. I think back in the day, that combined with almost if you were aware of like how to positionally structure your team, create 3v2s all over the pitch, you would just pop a team off. Like they'd come press you and you'd play through them for fun. I don't think you necessarily see that anymore because of how well structured teams are. And like you speak about it in terms of like a team can be set up defend. I think you spoke about it with Arsenal at Tottenham a couple of years ago, where like on one hand they were pressing really high man to
The
man, and
three
then on
layers of
the
press, I called it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like you get that at I think across the board in the league now. So like, sure, I think back in the day, keeping the ball, manipulating space was the way, but I think now with how smart teams set up off the ball, I don't know. That's just where my brain's going in the sense of like, I think it's really hard to break down teams just by keeping possession.
So my instinct is that the biggest impact is yes, the way teams are defending is having an impact on this, but the way teams are defending aggressively. So many teams are now going man to man. So just to pop the ball essentially from centre back into number six is way more dangerous than it used to be. You know, we talk about the most dangerous pass in football, don't we? Like the goalkeeper
Yeah.
vertically straight to say a central midfielder who's got his back to goal, going back to a goalkeeper, and he's either got to go into centre backs, back to goalkeeper, or he's got to fire it out left or right, one way or the other. And if you get dispossessed, example would be Anthony Gordon's goal at Arsenal League Cup semi-final last year. It's a good
Yeah.
example of that. I think
Yeah.
Raya, great distributor in goal. Declan Rice, one of the best you'd trust in that sort of area, got pinched. Anthony Gordon scored. That pass is becoming way more difficult. And if even you reflect on that game, Newcastle went man to man against you all over the pitch. So you had things like Lewis Skelligan disappearing up front and like Jacob Murphy just going with him. Not even passing him on and saying switch. No, that's my guy. I'm going to go all the way with him. Doesn't matter. We saw examples on Saturday, Manchester United. I was critical with David on Friday of how United centre backs struggled to press against Brighton's 10s in the same fixture last year. Luke Shaw, as I said on Monday's podcast, went and followed Jorginho Rutter all around the pitch. So there's so much man to man going on that you can't just play out in the same way.
Yeah.
And I think it's led to a bit of chest football where centre backs regularly going back to goalkeepers, going back to centre backs. You don't have a numerical advantage. Your only advantage is to go back to the goalkeeper, but you're stuck. So if everyone's going to go and press man to man, we talk about playing through lines. So a good example of this would be, I use a different Newcastle example, Brighton's first goal against Newcastle last week. Ball's played in between the lines of Rutter, turns, it's beyond Newcastle's midfield five, attacking at their back four, feeds in well back, scores. But how United got in between the lines against Liverpool was by smashing it up and knowing that Van Dijk was going to win the header and then picking up the second balls. It's the same achievement, it's just done very, very differently. And also takes yourself out of the danger. Takes yourself out of the danger of losing possession inside your
Yeah.
final third. And teams are so good now at pressing. So this feels like more of a cycle that we've got. And it's so many teams doing it. You've part bought Gyökeres, not to smash it up to him, but so he can go and run into channels and do some ugly stuff. Sort of stuff maybe we'd associate someone like Ollie Watkins maybe being good at. Not dominant in the air, but put it into a channel and he'll go and spin and run after it. Even City now. Think of the when you lost at City 4-1 in a game a few years ago and Haaland got pinned against Rob Holding and
Yeah.
they were unapologetic about it. We're like, yep, it's going up to Haaland
That's a
and we're
good
going to do
point,
him
you
that
know.
way.
The you could almost you could almost say was this coming with the kind of cycle of strikers. You remember it used to be like your Firmino, your Jesus, false nines, and then there was that summer where like I can't remember if Liverpool got Darwin in the same summer as Haaland. Not comparing them as players, but like there was a shift from
I
going
think it
from a
was. Yeah, I
false
think it was.
nine to like an out and out number nine. And you're right, like I know we got Gyökeres now, but even do you remember when we got Havertz? People were like, "Oh, where's he going to play?" And then the Community Shield, we saw him play as like a bit of a target man sort of thing. So maybe it's been coming and we haven't really noticed it with like the style of strikers that people have gone for the last few years. I don't know if that's trying to make two and two and getting seven or something, but
Maybe
the one,
more Matetas, is that kind of where you're at? Or
yeah, I don't know anyone that plays with a false nine anymore.
Well, no, but people talk about the death of a number nine, like kind of like that Firmino, and it's interesting. One of the players who's obviously joined the league this year is Voltemade. He's like part Firmino, part Berbatov,
Yeah, he is. He's a nice player, but he's tall. Isn't he the tallest
but he
striker in the
wants to
Premier
drop
League?
short. João Pedro, when he plays nine for Chelsea, wants to
That's
drop
true.
short.
Yeah.
So you've got
Another.
mix and match of real different profiles there.
Yeah. There's going to be a uni student somewhere that does a thesis on this for sure. Like it's so. Even another thing you said there, like you're so right. When you go direct, yeah, if you lose the ball, it's not near the danger zone, like you said. But then for so many years, people have taken those risks. Like you said, we did it against Newcastle. So I'm like, what's changed in like the risk appetite as well, or the strategy of we no longer want to potentially lose the ball close to goal.
It's
And
it's also it's second guessing a little bit. So if you've got, let's just use an example, say like Newcastle and Arsenal. Newcastle want to go and press against Arsenal man to man. You've got the crowd up with them at St James's Park, want to do that, right? If they go and press all the time, man to man, and every time Raya's just looking up and going, I'm gonna ping this one now, you won't press in the same way because it'll be in your mind. What do I keep doing this for? I'm watching the ball go over my head all the time.
yeah,
So it might even be we're trying to get a layer of that, which is trying to like psychologically stop teams pressing in the same way. So it's like, if you keep doing that, we're going to go over you and we're going to wear you out this way. You keep pressing, we'll wear you out that way. We'll go over the top of you. And then if teams just suddenly went, right, we're not going to do that anymore and back off, then teams won't go direct anymore, right?
yeah,
So if you've got an example of, say, like Villa came to Tottenham a couple of weeks ago and didn't really press at the top end. So they sat off a bit more. It's fine. That's how they chose to play. Tottenham weren't able to go over the top of Villa, and yet we associate Villa with that high line.
yeah.
It wasn't on. It wasn't on because the worst thing you can do is have high line and get your presser on, right? But their distancing was fine, and they trusted it, and Tottenham didn't have like a flyer to go in behind. So it might be that we've got a period here where teams are going direct to try and stop opponents pressing. Teams might not press in the same way, and we go back to something that looks more like tiki taka in 2 or 3 years. This
Possibly.
literally could be what's happening here.
I think my TLDR is tiki taka short, keeping the ball used to be how you found the space. And I think with now how teams defend, finding the space is just going direct. And you're probably right. There'll be a cycle. It'll be interesting to see if it translates to the World Cup in the summer. And I do think it's very advantageous to the English teams in Europe's competitions as well.
So that's interesting because I think that brings on to, and there's no rights or wrongs on this direct football discussion, by the way, just kind of open air venting. It's interesting you mentioned Champions League because what all this doesn't do in terms of, right, we're going to go more direct into a nine or into channels, it doesn't explain the throw in stuff.
No, you're right. And set
Nothing to
pieces.
do with it, really.
Do you think that could be a? You know what I said about like the level of like. What am I trying to say? There's a lot of smart people at the top level in football now, right? Could that be like, I don't know, not resurgence, the drive of analytics at the top level? Like, do you remember Liverpool hired like a throw-in coach a few years
They
ago, and that
did,
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
what? And like we're obviously really maximizing set pieces, mate. Like I don't know if that's an analytics-driven thing, but maybe.
So there's a couple of things that actually just dawned on me actually in the Tottenham Villa game last week as well. I was obviously at the game, and both teams really struggled with short throw-ins. Not as
Struggled in
in
what sense?
short throw-ins, just general. You know, you
But
take a
like
throw
struggled to
in.
defend them, or like,
No, as in to take them.
oh,
Struggled to. I'm not talking about taking foul throws. I mean, struggled to take a throw in and keep the ball. So
sure,
the obvious things to do in football would be right, short throw in, play it back to the thrower, and you probably go backwards. I'm telling you, both teams found that difficult because in those specific situations, there was lock on man to man again a lot. So it's same thing. Think about it from the back. Right, can't go out. Goalkeeper's got the ball, can't go anywhere. Everyone's man to man. What are you going to do? Maybe go a bit more direct. So actually, from a throw-in scenario, same thing. If it's man to man everywhere, there's no restrictions. You haven't got to be 10 yards away or anything like that. If it's man to man, you're generally worried. You're taking a throw-in inside your own half of a turnover. What's the best thing to do?
punt it.
Well, people don't just want to go long from throwing, interestingly, from their own half. They are doing it in terms of launching it into the box. but both teams I found really struggled just taking just general simplistic short throw-ins.
Yeah,
Not as in they weren't keeping the ball, by the way. I'm talking about actually just getting it into play. Like, where am I going? I
yeah,
can't go anywhere. And the long throw aspect in terms of long throws into the penalty area, I think could be a small consequence of that. In terms of we're struggling here, we don't want to overload to one side, lose the ball, get done on transition on the opposite side. So I think it's part defense mechanism, but it still doesn't explain what's brought this on, right? Because we're used to seeing everyone's seen the Brentford stats, right? Brentford last couple of years more throwing goals than like double anybody else. So we expect when Brentford, we've known this for a while. Thomas Frank's side playing someone with all respect, probably better than them, right? Opportunities to do the sort of thing that Keith Andrews' team did at the weekend. It's going in. We're conditioned to accept that. What we weren't conditioned for was when Arsenal went to Paris at 1-0 down, Arsenal launched that thing into the box for 12 minutes.
yeah.
PSG could barely get out their area. Probably the best team in the world at keeping the football. They never mind couldn't get out their half. They could barely get out their area. And I think it was like you'd stripped away everything of what you'd have been becoming under Arteta. This isn't criticism. Like, how can we hurt these best? It's about to take you completely out your comfort zone. And the thing with throw-ins that's different to corners is the pace. So corner comes in,
Yeah.
you get a dominant player like Gabriel gets his head on it, he's probably going 20 yards. Good luck putting 20 yards on a throw-in. It's
Yeah.
just basically coming down on top of you. You can't do it. So a lot of it with the long throws, it's not about the first contact.
It's the
I'm going to games already shouting second ball, second
yeah.
contact, because it's not about the first head. It's where it's going to drop. And sometimes the best thing to do with these throw-ins is get it out for a corner. You remember playing Stoke back in the day? It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
I think it was a whole goalkeeper came out, didn't he? One time towards the edge of the box, getting closed down by someone. It's like, well, I can't kick it out for a throw-in because the lap's going to launch it in the box. So he just kicked it behind him out for a corner. Mad choice, but
I don't remember that. That's
it was the
hilarious.
right choice. I think it was Boas Mayo, if I remember correctly. I might have that wrong. And I don't think we're going to quite get to that stage because so many teams are obviously such a big threat from corners. But with the throw-ins, it is different to corners now. Those Delap ones used to come in like fast and it just needed a flick and you were in so much trouble. These ones are coming with loop and you can't clear the thing properly.
Yeah, and uh, again, I know you started this with like, what's the why, and I don't know
No, I
because
don't know
I,
either.
I'm I can explain, I think, in my head why teams are doing it like now in the sense of like, yeah, you throw it in the box, you try set up your structures so you win the second ball and you set up optimally to either retrieve the ball or score from chaos. What I don't know is why is this becoming popular now? Like,
Well,
because it used to be.
the point about the Arsenal thing was it like, and I think Jamie Carragher said this a couple of weeks ago. Was Arsenal doing it like one of the best teams in the world? Was Arsenal doing it like a gateway to like, well, they're doing it, we can all do it.
What do you mean?
Well, you went and took long throws against Paris Saint Germain. It's just like,
Oh,
well, if they've decided their best way of winning the Champions League semi final is by taking long throws into the box, does it give all the rest of us to say, well, long throws are okay? They're doing it in the Champions League semi
surely
final.
not.
Well, what I mean is a perception, isn't there? Long
No,
throws
for
are
sure.
stigmas.
Yeah.
No, I've already said this about Tottenham. I don't like this long throw shit. I actually think the probability of scoring from is pretty unlikely. So I know Brentford got a great record from him. I know Thomas Frank's going to bring that sort of thing. And for me, you know, if we're playing a good side and there's 10 minutes to go and you want to launch it in, do it. For me, I don't like it. It's taking too much time to get the ball in play. Against Villa, Danso's like 92nd minute, Danso's coming over to take throw-ins and he's drying the ball. Come on, can we like play football? So I'm not loving what I'm watching. So there is clearly, and that's me wanting my team to score,
Yeah.
there is a stigma and a perception. I also know that there's enough people around me who go every week and are still of the mindset of get it in the box.
In the
Like,
mixer.
yeah, exactly. That's still a lot of the perception. But I think in our kind of analysis world of football, there is a stigma to long throws. I don't think perhaps in the past managers haven't wanted to be associated by it. Ah, that's the manager at his team play long throws, their set piece FC or whatever. But now I think it's like, I don't care what people think of me. If this is the best way to score, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah. And
Whereas everyone's perhaps followed kind of like a Guardiola ideology of what we should be, or Klopp gegenpressing, whatever the philosophy is. You've almost got, yeah, this is my go-to guy. Whereas now maybe it's like, actually the data's telling me we should go in the box here, so we're going to do it.
Yeah, maybe there is a sense of, like you said, the perception where maybe it was frowned. Well, I definitely found, being an Arsenal fan, like we used to get pummeled by it for years, right? So like the
Oh, we
one thing
used
I
to go to
like,
like Stoke or Boltons and stuff like that. Yeah,
oh yeah, and we get bullied and battered.
but
Yeah,
everyone against you used to think, oh, well, Arsenal are coming, we'll try this sort of thing.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
what, like, so to be honest, when Arteta started doing it, I was like, do you know what? I quite like that. Like, he kind of respects all sides of the game, and again, maybe coming to the level of quality coaches and the way teams set up and defend, maybe it's just harder to win games now than ever before, from a sense of like, as a manager, how you set up your team tactically to go and exploit weaknesses and stuff. And maybe it is something of like, it just adds the element of chaos, and it's just unapologetically, I don't know,
I wonder if it's
brute force.
psychology a little bit as well.
I think
Like,
so.
like we think we can do you. If we get the ball in here, we fancy our men will outpower yours.
Well, and that against PSG, I know it didn't translate to any goal, but the feeling I had was like, we're overpowering them, and
No,
like
I know because I
psychologically,
was watching the game and my
yeah.
ass was going 10 to the dozen, mate. I wasn't enjoying it.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. Yeah, you look at, I don't know, a Vitinha in there. Well, obviously he's a midfielder, it's a bad example, but they're I wouldn't say their defenders are units. So like, maybe it is okay. So you pick and choose who you do it against. But yeah, I don't know. It's it definitely feels like we're in a cycle that's changing from something that, well, all I ever knew in my kind of adult life was like the kind of the Pep reincarnations of, yeah, you keep the ball, you pass it around the back, and it does feel like we're in the middle of a big change.
Time wasting
Like,
on
what's the,
throw-ins, I'm talking about specifically here. And
do you
also
think?
goal kicks in the sense of going long.
Do you think from a, like, only if teams are winning, or just from a rest fatigue
So
perspective, or
you might know the answer to this, but Arsenal obviously take their time on corners. Whether they're winning, losing, whatever, it doesn't seem to matter. What's the theory behind that?
I think just to give yourself the best chance of scoring from that. So like, the more time you take on setting something up, the more likely you are to convert, in my opinion.
But it also allows an opposition to get set absolutely correctly, doesn't it? At the same time, you
Yeah,
would
true.
think.
Yeah,
But can it lead to boredom, concentration? I've been watching my man. I've been standing still for 30 seconds. Boom, Gabriel's gone.
maybe. Yeah, like the Aubameyang Mings thing from a few years ago, where they're having a little chinwag.
Yes, that was that during COVID.
It was during COVID, yeah.
I recall that one. Yeah, one thing that is really annoying me is we book players for dissent and time wasting, right? So time wasting. So someone's got a free kick. You take too long over it. Team's winning, right? Dissent or a yellow card for time wasting. Someone's taking too long on a throw in to like throw it down the line. There's 2 minutes to go. Yellow card, time wasting. Goalkeepers booked for time wasting. It's like the 94th minute of 95, and the goalkeeper's taking his time. Oh, I'm gonna book the goalkeeper now. Like, that makes a difference to anybody's life other than the handful of FPL managers are like, oh my god, it's just lost the point. No one's getting booked for time wasting on a long throw. There was one in the first half yesterday at Goodison where Danso, he's gone over, he's taken ages over it, and he ran to the line and he actually stopped and went back
What
and
was the score at
and
the time?
started again. It was in the first half, so it must have been 1-0 to us
What was
at the
the
time.
Everton crowd reaction to that?
Well, they were as noisy as they were all day, quite frankly, like obviously doing their nut because it was time wasted. But no one ever gets booked for time wasting on a long throw.
Maybe like, you tend to see this, right? When you see trends, the rules tend to be tweaked accordingly. So maybe we'll see this as like a rule change next year, where if the pattern stays the same and like long throws continue to be popular and used often, then maybe you'll start seeing them
But
punished for
have you
time
seen
wasting from it.
anyone take long throws against you in the Champions League this year?
Uh, don't think so.
No, me neither.
Can't remember.
So
I don't think so.
is it just us?
Well, yeah, but like, again, the stereotype of British football was like, we're gonna overpower you, right? Pace and power, like, so maybe it's coming full circle. Mike Bassett is living the dream.
Maybe. Good discussion. Let us know what you think, guys. I don't have a definitive answer for this.
No, me
Clearly,
either.
we can see on the data that long throws, direct balls from goalkeepers, passes over certain distances, like it's all massively up. I did some analysis on terms of DEFCONs a couple of weeks ago. Well, we can expect DEFCONs to be higher this season than perhaps what we'd have projected in pre-season. These are all long parts of it. Long throws certainly up towards DEFCONs as well, because who normally wins the headers? Reality. It's your Van Dijks and your
Enter us.
Gabriels and these sort of players are obviously normally winning the headers on these throw-ins as well. I want to talk about fixture movements. So I think it's United Supporters Trust, or certainly a representation of Manchester United's fans, have put in a complaint, which I think has then gone in perhaps even via Manchester United to the Premier League, about fixture scheduling. And this has come off the back of Manchester United recently being assigned three Monday night matches. There's a game against Everton coming up. We've got another one at home to Bournemouth. I'm sure the Bournemouth fans will love going to Manchester on a Monday night. Not that they'd probably get back on a Saturday night either. They might do, subject to time. And they've also got a fixture at Wolves on a Monday night. And please don't take this as a rant in terms of defence of Manchester United, because what I could certainly say is if you qualify for European competition, you won't get as many Monday night games. I'm sure they'll have less next year, and probably my team will have more. By the way. But there are certain quirks that go against teams. You will always find at the top, kind of Newcastle fans feel like they get wronged a lot on travel. And I know at the other end of the spectrum, Bournemouth fans certainly think the same in terms of their travel. I mean, Bournemouth to Manchester on a Monday night is pretty shite. But
Outrageous.
wherever Bournemouth went, unless it was like a Brighton or something relatively close, you're going to get stitched up if you get a Monday night game. It is what it is, unfortunately. There's others who've faced some weird quirks this year. Wolves 8 o'clock away games on a Saturday night at Arsenal, Chelsea, and Tottenham inside the first half of this season. What's the chances? Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, all at home to Wolves at 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. You ain't getting out
Yeah.
of London. You ain't getting out of London 11 o'clock at night on a
No,
Saturday.
that's bad.
Shite, I know.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
So it's not, I just want to give representation. Wolves are relatively, I guess, central in the country, stitched up with three Saturday 8 o'clock game trips to London. Why does it matter? Well, we're part alluding to it here is like, from a fan's perspective, pretty shite. Me personally, don't care that much. 8 o'clock I said to my dad, because we had 8 o'clock against Fulham against Wolves on a Saturday, and we've got another one coming up against Fulham in a couple of weeks, 8 o'clock on a Saturday. 8 o'clock on a Saturday gets people's like back up. And I said to my dad, would you rather have 8 o'clock on a Saturday or 8 o'clock on a Monday? 8 o'clock on
Yeah.
a Saturday. Like, well, yeah, kind of agree with you. And for most people, in terms of working life, it's not the same for everybody. It's probably still better. But for those in London, yeah, you've now got to find a hotel in London on a Saturday night, three times over, probably if you're a Wolves fan, or you're driving on getting a coach and getting home at some sort of stupid o'clock, I don't know, 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever.
You said did you say it was Man United that put in a complaint because they've got Monday
I don't know
night
if it's
games?
United officially, but I know certainly a statement's gone out from a United fans group.
But they're Man United are at home in those 8 p.m. games.
The Wolves game is away.
Ah, okay. I was gonna say if they're at home, like what are they moaning about?
Well, I think part of the complaint that they had was that ordinarily in a season, United would have plenty of games in like midweeks and cup competitions and stuff like that. They've gone out of obviously the Carabao Cup early to Grimsby. They don't have European competition this year. So I think one of the stats that's been going around, United's game against Brighton at the weekend was their only home game in a span of 50 days.
What?
Which is, yeah, it's true. Yeah, in a span of 50 days.
How is that possible?
Well, their next two games in the league are away,
And then international break.
then international break, and obviously before they were at Liverpool.
Damn.
So over a span over 50 days, they've only got one game at Old Trafford. Now that was 5:30 on a Saturday. It's fine, reasonable. But a lot of the arguments, some of these fixtures, like potentially Bournemouth at home, might be a good one to try and take families and stuff.
Okay,
8 o'clock on a Monday, not quite so conducive with that. And obviously, Manchester United is a special case. Global football club, we know. I'll go to Man United away, and there'll be as many Man United fans on the bloody train as there will Tottenham, right?
Yeah.
They'll travel from everywhere. I mean, that's the majority of the crowd. Obviously, we know it's obviously coming from London. So that's part of the complaint. It's not conducive in terms of like fans and families going to these games as well. I think it's also irked United a little bit because there has been some speculation they've been trying to organise a game in Saudi Arabia to make up for some money from this shortfall of European competition. And having games on a Monday night is basically blocking that,
Well,
ironically.
when you first said the thing about the families, I was like, okay, yeah, that's fair because I didn't think of that. And yeah, Saturday 3 o'clock, that's the perfect one to take your little one to their first game and stuff like that. But not being funny, it is. You kind of said it. Just do better if you qualify for Europe. If you don't get knocked out of the competition, it's not really going to be an issue, right?
The ones that annoy me are the either ors. If you tell me, right, fixtures, if fixtures are coming out, we think there's going to be one game on Boxing Day. Is the report today at the time recording on the Monday. Only one game, and I've heard two speculated games will be one will be 8 o'clock on the Friday night. One is Manchester United against Newcastle, and the other one rumored is Tottenham at Crystal Palace. He's probably going to be one of those two. Now, even getting to Palace for a Tottenham fan is shite on Boxing Day,
Yeah,
by
it's
the
a
way,
bit awkward from north to
because
south. Yeah,
there's no trains,
I know. Yeah.
so I don't know
Well,
what it is.
I said I know. I didn't know. You told me before we went live.
It's tubes and buses, but before anyone jumps down my throat, I certainly recognise that Newcastle to Manchester is even harder. Yeah, I absolutely realise that. I will at least be able to get there on some form of transport. I accept that. And it's interesting that because there's so much tradition of Boxing Day and the games and all that. There's no trains. It's always a pain in the arse trying to get to games on Boxing Day. But then I still want that game to be like, yeah, 3 o'clock on Boxing Day, basically, would be the ideal time. I don't mind when we play. What I dislike is things like we had Wolves at home was meant to be 2 o'clock on a Sunday, and it's like, this will move to the Saturday if we've got a Champions League game on the Tuesday. Just put it on the Saturday.
Yeah.
Just start there. They were always going to end up moving one of Forest Sunderland or Villa Fulham to that slot anyway. So just move them there. They'll play because that week, obviously, Europa was split Wednesday or Thursday. Just move those two games at a time to the Sunday. Get on with it. And leave Tottenham with the 5:30 slot on the Saturday.
I
Wolves fans are happier. They go at a more sensible time. And it's not getting like converted at 2 weeks' notice. It's like, okay, there's 6 weeks. That's when you're playing. Crack on.
Yeah, I unfortunately have made it. Peace is the wrong word. I just can't think of an alternative. But I've made up my mind on how I feel about these things for a while, just because the percentage of match going fans compared to their target audiences is just like they don't give a shit about us. And I'm just like,
No,
if it's not something I can control mentally, I'm just gonna park it. So like, and even to be honest, like if I was in England right now, and I don't know what's the last Arsenal away game that was an awkward time, but like we had Newcastle away on a Monday a few years ago. I just jumped on the supporters coach and I was like, for my personal circumstances in my life, I'm able to make it work. So I get it. Like it is outrageous how they treat the people that pay to go home and away across the country. But I just made peace with like they don't care about us. There's nothing that I can do in my control about it, unfortunately, which is shit. But that's the way I think about it. To be honest,
yeah, go and play when we're told to play. I'm fine with that. It's the overalls, like I said. We played Leeds 12:30 Saturday. And when the fixtures come out, you can't book trains or nothing. Because if we'd have played like on the Wednesday before in the Champions League, it was moving to 8 o'clock at night. So I had to wait till the European fixtures were out before anybody could do about anything about it. That's the shitty bit. The either ors and the clubs in the
yeah.
Champions League cop that quite badly. And I was going to say my team probably won't be in it. You'll cop that quite bad again in March and April, Clay. So it'll be, you're 4:30 on a Sunday or 5:30 on a Saturday. Thanks.
I do
Really
think that's
helpful.
only going to get worse. You know, the chopping and changing, the announcements, the kind of sending a Bournemouth to a Manchester on a weekday evening. Like I don't see it getting better. Let me just say that.
Well, this as well, where you've got a club like Manchester United not in Europe, you are going to cop this because Manchester United is viewing figures, right? And they'll know if they can put Manchester United on a Monday night, that's going to guarantee them quite a bit because they'll have their guaranteed audience just naturally on the Sundays. You've got Manchester United on a Monday as well. Absolutely brilliant. With respect, there are other games on a Monday that won't draw them the figures that a Manchester United would get them. So they'll be looking at going, yeah, we've got 3 M&Fs coming up for Man United. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do Euro focus. This is very different to any other Euro focus we've done in the past because the way we've done this, we've always done this with a club that an English team or a British team was or an Irish team was about to play in European competition as a little bit of a get to know them. This club that we're going to do today, he's not playing European competition now, but remarkably, they will be next year. This is the closest a story as you'll find to Leicester City that I think I've seen. Go on, Clates.
Yeah, likewise. Absolutely mind blowing. I hadn't even heard of the story until you sent it to me on WhatsApp. So the story is a team called Mjallby, who
That's
have
Kurt
just.
Zuma's Swedish team, if anybody didn't know.
I didn't think you were actually going to do
Sorry.
that. Yeah, they've just won the Swedish title. Literally last week. They are the club within a fishing village where the population is, I know you know the answer to this because you sent it to me, but 1,500 people.
Can you repeat that, Clayton?
1,500 is the population, which is the fishing village of Hayavik, I believe. And that's where Mjallby, who's the team that won the league, plays. And yeah, as you say, well, maybe we're 12 months early in previewing them against someone in Europe. I believe they still need to go through qualifying in the 26, 27
Yeah, I would
Champions League.
imagine so. I think Malmo would have representation this year,
Yeah,
didn't make it.
but yeah, their story is mental. Obviously, as you can imagine, for a team like that, there wasn't loads to go on, but you sent me a nice couple articles within the Athletic that I read, and yeah, tried to find some rabbit holes. So I've got some notes here. I tried to find my standard on. Okay, when were they
Can I just
founded?
say, I didn't read these articles. I've just left it to you.
Oh, did you not? No,
No.
they were really helpful. Yeah, especially because like for a team like this, I couldn't find anything on like how do they play, what's their system. Whereas is it Michael Cox in the Athletic just like broke all of that down, so it's quite fun to learn about. And they are some XG model breakers as well, which is quite fun. So I'll talk about that in a sec. But my fun history lesson, which I like to do, when were they founded? 1st of April 1939. Their
Is that a
stadium.
joke?
What's up?
Oh, you missed it.
Oh.
1st of April.
Oh, April Fool's. Jesus, I'm locked in. Uh, their stadium's very cool. It's called the Strandvallen, and it's a seaside stadium. It was built in 1953. The capacity is tiny, as you can imagine. It's like 6,700, I think it was, from memory. But it's literally right next to the Baltic Sea, and apparently you can like hear the waves during games and stuff. So, a bit of ASMR when people are watching them. They first reached the top division in Sweden in only 1980, so they've been a little bit of a yo-yo club. But like their story is mental. Like it was only 2015-16, so literally a decade ago. They were in the third tier of Swedish football, and obviously, I think it was on the 20th of October they actually sealed the title, and that was their, if it wasn't obvious, their first ever Swedish championship, and they did it with games to spare as well. So pretty impressive. So yeah, I think the most impressive thing for me is like you mentioned it's like a Leicester City story. I would have loved to have known what the odds were because Leicester was 5,000 to 1, right? I don't know what these
You're
were.
never going to get anyone 5,001 for a league ever again.
No, but I did find from the articles that you sent, their budget is only 15% of what Malmo's is. So to do that is absolutely bonkers. And there was two guys in particular that, from what I could see, have kind of pioneered this. So it's one is the coach, Anders Torstensson. It's actually his third spell in charge. And he's got a philosophy which is be the best at things that are free. And if you relate that to them, apparently it's team spirit, organization, and preparation. And now this is cool. He's got an assistant, I believe, and his name is Carl Axum, and he has a PhD in visual perception in football, and he kind of helps to lead like the kind of excuse me, data-driven approach to recruitment and stuff like that. So you kind of got two philosophies shaping what they're trying to do there. In terms of tactics, this is where Michael Cox's article was great. So for expected goals, they have the 7th best expected goals numbers in the league. And where was it? They've conceded just 17 goals from, guess how many expected?
God, tell me it's double.
Yeah, pretty much. 35 expected goals and they conceded 17. They've got a 6'6" goalkeeper. in there who actually wears the same headgear as Petr Cech. He's just earned a call up to Sweden's national team and is getting a move to Como. So I would put two and two together and say he's been pretty good for them. But yeah, they play like a 3-2-4-1. They press high by the sounds of it. Something we mentioned a lot today. They create overloads. They do the box midfield. They go direct and fast on their wing through their wing backs. So yeah, they sounded like they've broken the expected goals model this season. And yeah, in terms of like close successes, 2 years ago they got to the Swedish Cup final against another team that I did recognize, BK Häcken.
Yeah,
So that's another popular Swedish team, but they
they've been
lost that.
in Europa a couple of times, I
They
think.
have, yeah. They lost that 4-1. But yeah, like what they've done is just absolutely bonkers. It's like, and it's not like it's from a Stockholm or a Gothenburg. Like it's literally a village of 1,500 people. Yeah, it's a fishing village. It's got, I think the budget I said was 15% of Malmo. Yeah, and they've just won the league in Sweden. And yeah, I think I'm not sure on that, but I do think they need to go into the Champions League qualifiers as opposed to just going direct into it. So I hope they make it through and get into the league phase, but I don't know. I'd make an assumption they'd maybe fall just short, maybe fall into the Europa or the conference.
What's the closest city to them? Do you know?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. No,
No.
let me have a
I
look.
would
Let me have a look
imagine they
now.
probably wouldn't be allowed to play in their stadium.
True, because of regulations and stuff.
Depends, isn't it? Like Bodo have been able to play at theirs, but it's like modern built and safe and whatnot. So it's not an attendance restriction, but if they were concerned you're having big numbers coming in, mind you, if it's as far north as I guess what you're saying that they are, then you ain't going to get big numbers of travel there.
No,
So, yeah, remarkable story. While you were talking, I was trying to think like what would be the village team from England.
huh?
Like you wouldn't even have one in the top four divisions. Never mind.
Yeah, not a clue. What's the
No,
population of Enfield? Any idea?
mate, the bloody population of the main road off of where I live is more than what's in
Yeah,
their village,
it's
mate.
like trying to. I can't visualize anything comparable in England that I've walked through or seen myself. Like it's absolutely absurd.
Mate, if you walk through Enfield Town, there's certain parts that over Christmas you probably see 1,500 people,
Yeah,
mate, down Enfield Town. I mean, yeah, that is quite something because there are some big historical football clubs in Sweden, like Malmo, you've got AIK, Gothenburg. There's some big clubs there. That's an absolute mad one. They'll probably go down next year because sorry, I've just broken everyone's hearts.
no, probably.
But the reversion to mean and variance will get you. Will probably bite quite hard. And if they did
Yeah,
make it to the Champions League, they'd probably get slapped about all over the place quite badly, I'm afraid to say. But yeah, what a great story. Do we know what their average attendance is? Like, do they normally fill that ground or not? Or
I didn't see actually. I'd assume as the season was going. Well, no. How can I assume if their population is a tiny percentage of the
well,
capacity?
yeah, the population of their village is only 25% of their stadium.
Yeah, so I'd assume not. I didn't even think of that when I was researching about it.
How big would the stadium have to be in Islington for the Emirates?
Oh, fucking hell. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's your Swedish champions.
yeah, quite some story that we'll wait and see what happens with them. They'll obviously go into Champions League qualifiers, which will be presumably in July next year after the World Cup. We'll have to keep an eye out for them. That is an
Sure.
absolutely mental story. Fair
Good
game
luck.
to them. Which comes at a time as well when their national team is massively struggling. But has of course been taken over by Graham Potter, and they've got a backdoor route in potentially via the playoffs to the World Cup. And I hope they do qualify because the Isaks and Kulizevskis and Ilangas and yeah, him who plays up front for you, yeah, you know they deserve their stage, don't they? Let's do on this day.
You said 2012, right?
It is 2012, and I would say this was probably controversial opinion biggest game in the Premier League at the time.
Manchester Derby?
Nah. Although City were champions,
Yeah. Biggest game in the Premier League at the time. It's got a bit Chelsea
Chelsea United.
against. Yeah.
Chelsea United, considering City had broken up a spell where I think between Chelsea and United they'd won every title between 2005
It
and
was, yeah.
2011. So I think at that period, 2012, off of City's first title win, yeah, I think that probably over that period, the end of the 2000s, probably would have had to be the biggest game in the league. I'm not saying for rivalry or whatever, but in terms of if you could have said Sky other than Liverpool, Man United, just because have one game, that's probably the one they'd have chosen. So the two teams meet at Stamford Bridge in October 2012, on October the 28th, on this day. That's 13 years ago. Manchester United, favourites to reclaim their crown. They brought some bloke from Arsenal who's not bad at putting the ball in the net. I'm sure you can remember his name, Clates.
Yeah, what a striker he was.
That's obviously Robin van Persie. And Chelsea, of course, were European champions following their remarkable victory of I still can't believe that I didn't throw the television out the window after they beat Barcelona. Unfortunately, I was around two other many people to do that when they beat Bayern Munich on penalties in the final and thus stopped my team getting in the Champions League.
Was
They were
Di
Champions
Matteo
League
still
winners.
in charge for this game? I can't remember when he was.
Roberto Di Matteo was
Okay.
still in charge. Not for much longer from
Okay.
here. Chelsea's season would end with Europa League triumph under the much loved, I jest, Rafael Benitez. Check this Chelsea lineup from the day, mate. This is classy, to be fair. Particularly as John Terry was suspended. I think serving maybe the final game of his ban following the racist remarks aimed at Anton Ferdinand at Queen's Park Rangers a month earlier. The Chelsea lineup was Petr Cech in goal, Branislav Ivanovic right back, Ashley Cole left back, centre backs David Luiz, yeah, Sideshow Bob, and Gary Cahill. In midfield, John Obi Mikel, Ramirez, Oscar, Juan Mata, Eden Hazard. Up front, Fernando Torres. The Manchester United lineup was David De Gea in goal, back four of Rafael, Rio Ferdinand, who was getting heavily booed as consequence by association, Johnny Evans and Patrice Evra. Manchester United had Michael Carrick and Tom Cleverley in central midfield, Antonio Valencia on the right, Ashley Young on the left, Wayne Rooney off of Robin van Persie. United subs bench, check this. Lindegaard, Anderson, Giggs, Nani, Scholes, Chicharito, Welbeck.
Phew.
Chelsea's, for the record, was Ross Turnbull, Azpilicueta, Ryan Bertrand, who out of nowhere started that Champions League final, you might remember, Oriol Romeo, Victor Moses. Remember Marco Marin?
Oh, yeah.
Big fuss when he signed, I think, for Werder Bremen, if I remember
Yeah, I was
correctly.
going to say it was either them or Wolfsburg.
And a very young Daniel Sturridge.
Wow.
So United favourites to reclaim their title. Chelsea European champions. Big head to head. United go in front 4 minutes into the game. Wayne Rooney wins a turnover and Ashley Young ends up in a sanctuary, really high position. Gary Cahill doesn't go for offside, goes back in with Ashley Young. Young holds it, waits for Rooney to come back and support. Rooney pulls back as he goes beyond the penalty area line. And Van Persie takes a look at Gary Cahill, a little bit like Haaland against Everton the other week. Took a look and went, no, I'm not going. Peels off. And Cahill senses it, stretches, can't get there in time. Oh, actually, that's the second goal, which was very similar to the first. Van Persie slams a right-footed shot, hits the post, smashes back off Sideshow Bob and crawls past Petr Cech over the line. Van Persie's second goal, very similar. Only 8 minutes later, this time Valencia to the byline, drilled low cross. Cahill senses it, can't get there in time. And Van Persie sweeps it in with his weaker foot again. 2-0 to United after 12 minutes. Fair to say from there, Chelsea threw the sink at United and had plenty of efforts. They pulled a goal back a minute before half-time after Wayne Rooney had fouled Eden Hazard. This is Hazard in his debut season for Chelsea. And Juan Mata bent a free kick in, which was kind of a cool psychological moment because a year earlier, well, I say a year earlier, the season earlier, Chelsea had led United 3-0 at Stamford Bridge, only for United to pull it back and earn a 3-3. But right at the end of the game, Juan Mata took this free kick where he went over the wall and it was kind of postage stamp top bin and De Gea got there. So they're facing each other again 6 months on. Mata goes the other way this time, goes round the wall. De Gea's side, that far inside the post. 2-1. And Chelsea equalised only 7 minutes into the second half. I'll tell you what's really striking when I watch the highlights back of this. The atmosphere looks like it's absolutely bouncing now. You can tell the vibe of this is big game. It's like a modern rivalry has developed, and the Chelsea fans sense the importance of it. And there's good limbs on the shed end when Ramirez heads Chelsea level. From there, you think they're going to win it. Any memories?
I think I'm getting confused with a goal because I remember a Van Persie goal from this. I can't remember if he got a hat trick or not, or if I'm thinking of the Valencia assist that you described already.
So Robin Van Persie did get a hat trick at Stamford Bridge the season earlier for Arsenal.
Yeah, no. So not in this game then, no. So no, I'm gonna say no. I can't remember what happened after.
So Chelsea in the ascendancy, you think from there they're going to win it. It's the opposite. They were 3-0 up against United the previous season, 3-3. This time they've come back from 2-0 down. You think that they're going to go on and win the game. Ascendancies with them. Van Persie gets on the turn, the halfway line, sends Ashley Young through and clear. Branislav Ivanovic going back after him, and Young slows down his run and kicks out his foot a little bit. Let's be honest, I'm not really giving the benefit of the doubt, but we know Ashley Young well enough to know what happened here. He was very astute and clever at winning free kicks. Think of a little bit like Anthony Gordon now. So Ivanovic is sent off, last man tackle, right? Although Ivanovic doesn't actually make an attempt to win the ball. I would like to say I think if VAR intervened, it wouldn't. And I think it probably would still be a red card because you wouldn't be able to like disprove that it wasn't a bit of contact. But the contact I think comes out as Young's running foot is going backwards rather than Ivanovic bringing him down. Rooney fires the free kick over. Game feels quite level now because Chelsea have been in the ascendancy, but they're obviously a man short. And minutes later, they're 2 men short. Fernando Torres races away on the counter. He's got Johnny Evans to beat, pushes it past him, and Evans fouls Torres. Evans could be in trouble here, potentially straight red maybe. No. Torres, second yellow card for diving from Mark Clattenburg.
This is coming back to me as you're describing it.
And I can tell you without any doubt that Torres got caught. It was not a dive. And but interestingly on that, and we say quite a lot about, I wish referees would book players more when they believe a player's diving. Obviously, VAR wouldn't have been able to intervene because it's a yellow card, right? And this incident made me think about that more, about why they don't like be more decisive. If they think someone's dived, why are they not more decisive with yellow cards? Because you look at this one and it's so badly wrong. And the other thing, of course, I thought about with this was obviously with Clattenburg, such an experienced ref. I wondered if this played on his mind for the Battle of Bridge 4 years later when he decided he didn't want to send anyone off.
Yeah, one extreme to the other. That was carnage, that one.
Wasn't it? I mean, Chelsea finished this game with 9 men. It wouldn't have been justifiable if we'd have finished that game with 9 men. We should have had more sent off. So now Chelsea down to 10 men. Evans is shitting himself that he's looking at a possible orange card. Probably can't believe his own luck. Chelsea again, obviously mental about it. And not helped by the winning goal that arrived 15 minutes later. Van Persie takes a step inside onto his left, gets a shot away, low to Cech's left. Cech gets a big hand on it, but kind of almost underneath his palm, and is spinning backwards towards the goal. Cech's trying to get up. I think it might have been David Luiz was going back on the line, and Chicharito. They're all going for it, right? All 3 of them going for the ball as it's about to curve the line. It hits the post. The 3 of them pretty much end up in the net. Cech kicks it away to his right, comes back out to Raphael, who's come up from fullback. He smashes it across the box. Chicharito's there to tap in.
Yeah, I remember this one because he kind of came back from
not
an offside. Yeah,
from an offside position.
Very clear.
As Raphael strikes it, Hernandez is practically in the goal. He's offside. He's not just behind Chelsea's last man. He's basically behind Petr Cech. Now, the ball comes in so fast, you can kind of forgive the linesman for the fact that the flag hasn't gone up. And as much as I moan about VAR, you do watch goals like this now and think, oh, it doesn't sit right.
No.
It doesn't sit right that goal counted because it's clear that he is offside and it shouldn't have stood. And so Manchester United went home with the points, and they would, of course, go on to win the title in Sir Alex Ferguson's final season in charge. That is on this day from 2012.
Lovely stuff. Nice blast down memory lane there. I like it when I can picture the things as you're describing them. But some of the older ones, I'm like, I don't have a clue what's going on.
Oh, sorry, mate. Well, I'll do a time frame. I've got to keep it within for future.
No, 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 no. The listeners love the old and good ones and stuff, so I like these ones where I can actually recollect what's happened.
I don't know if they do, but I'm going to keep doing it anyway. Clates, always a pleasure. Anything we need to plug before we finish?
No, all good. Good to be back. Thank you, listeners, and yeah, hopefully be back a bit more regularly from now on.
Good to see you, mate. Thank you very much, pal. Clash of correspondence for you tomorrow, everyone. Liverpool versus Aston Villa with Dan Lord and Lee Jackson. Just so you can say cheers, Clates. As always, everyone, please be nice to each other. Cue music, please. Man child.